This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode number 4. I'm Tom Albano. Alongside me, as always, is Nick Federa.
Hello, everybody.
And it brings us to another edition of the Unspoken Podcast. And we have actually 6 topics this time, and we have a lot to talk about.
Got a lot to get to. It's Inauguration Day. Some of you are very sad. Some of you are very glad. But no matter how you feel, we're here to talk about sports. We're here to lift your spirits a little bit if you're feeling bad.
I was going to say, I think, honestly, maybe we shouldn't talk about Inauguration Day because, in all honesty, I get it. It's a sports and pop culture podcast, but you have so much negativity going on right now. I feel the negativity on both ends because, I have friends on both ends of the spectrum, and it's I want to, give a lending hand to one side, but I also want to give a lending hand to another because I'm that kind of person, and it's it's tearing me apart. So honestly, I think it's best we leave that alone.
Yeah, we will.
Right. So,
but still, we've got football to talk about.
We have a lot of football to talk about. We also have baseball to talk about and basketball to talk about. It's not all football this time around, which is actually good because football is not going to last much longer.
More stuff for us to talk about. We got to get it in while we can.
Correct. And with how much topics we got to go through, I am introducing something. This is what do we want to call this? The unspoken clock?
Yeah, it's the untimed clock.
The untimed clock. Okay. So I'm introducing the untimed clock. We're going to talk for a topic for 7 minutes. And I'm using my phone, FYI. So you'll hear a vibration once time is up because I have my phone on the table here. Once that vibration hits and the time is up, each of us get one last word in on the topic, and then we move on. You can consider it like the pardon the interruptions clock, except longer.
Or we're around the horn.
Or around
Page in his hair gel.
That's true. I'm not wearing the hair gel today, though.
Yeah, I should have put some in, though. Damn.
All right, so let's start with our first topic. The clock starts now, and it is the conference championships for the NFL.
Yes, indeed. We got ourselves a big game here, folks. It's going to be Atlanta Falcons at the Green Bay Packers, and boy, is it going to be a showdown because our wishes were granted, but Dallas was finally stopped in their tracks.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Jerry had the sad face, or he might have had the sad face. We didn't get to see it, but I prefer to think a few tears were shed on his end.
Somebody laid down that song, My Heart Will Go On, to the footage of Mason Crosby kicking the game-winning field goal.
Yes.
And it was great. All right, so I guess let's get on with that. Green Bay is going to be traveling to Atlanta for the NFC Championship game at 3 o'clock on Sunday. And then following that up, at about 6:40 on Sunday night, it's going to be the New England Patriots hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's stick with Green Bay and Atlanta first. Here's our little tidbit courtesy of the score. The Packers have won now 8 straight games, while the Falcons have won their last 5. You got 2 winning teams going into this.
You have high-powered offense against high-powered offense, and it's really going to be a game of who's going to run out of bullets first, because it's going to be a shootout, folks.
It's going to be, in my opinion, is the good Matt Ryan going to show up yet again? Or, because he's had some bad weeks in the regular season.
He has. He's probably, people keep saying he's a shoo-in for the MVP, but like I said, the playoffs are a completely different beast. He's been on this stage before, and it hasn't worked out, but let's see what he can do, and he's going to have to climb a very big mountain.
And that mountain, it has to be Aaron Rodgers, Eddie Lacy, Clay Matthews. Jordy Nelson might be back. Not 100%, but he might be back.
On behalf of Giants fans everywhere, I'd like to apologize for Packers Nation for breaking that guy's ribs. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That guy,
Apologize for that.
if it makes up for it, he was on my fantasy team. He was my number one receiver. So I was supportive of him all the way, Packers Nation. So hopefully that earns me some points.
Yeah, we got to. Like I said, it's sports. That's what happens. But what's amazing to me was not only the fact that Aaron Rodgers literally cannot. He's like a cockroach. You can't step on this guy without him actually finding some way to get out of it. And somewhere, somebody could be out of the stadium. A receiver will be open. He could be miles away.
And he'll throw it to him.
Yes, Jordan Cook and his amazing stick-em hands.
I mean, in my opinion, this Super Bowl now is probably Aaron Rodgers to. Actually, I don't know, because now considering Tom Brady, let me say the NFC title game is Aaron Rodgers' to lose. The NFC title game is. If we get to the Super Bowl and they face the Patriots, that one I'm not too sure.
That, sir, is going to be one for the ages.
Although, what will be one for the ages also is the AFC title game, the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That one's going to be pretty good as well.
Especially considering how the Steelers won that game against the Chiefs without having scored a touchdown.
Nope, it was...
It was something like 18 points, so that's... how many?
6 field goals.
Six field goals, yeah.
6 field goals off the foot of Chris Boswell.
And if you can't score touchdowns, it don't look like you're going to be able to win this game.
But I would like at least a decently scored game, even if it's not going to be too much. So, like, maybe, I don't know, like a 35-28 or 28-21, something like that.
It might not even be that high. It could be 21-14.
Yeah, but for the fantasy playoff challenge I'm in, for my sake, I hope.
Yeah, definitely got to get the fantasy plug in there, Tom.
I'm Mr. Fantasy. What can I say?
Of course.
Let's see.
It seemed like the Texans defense, especially in that game, they were getting to Brady earlier in the game, and
early on, but then it just became that funny.
They ran out of gas.
Then it was just like we predicted last week. I mean, we got most of our predictions right last week. It was just the Atlanta game.
Except for Seattle, they completely shit the bed. But
I was surprised Seattle lost the way they lost. Like, that'd be much closer than 16 points.
But our predictions, we didn't make a call on the Packers because we didn't want to jinx it.
But we did. We said we did the prove me wrong to the Cowboys, and we weren't wrong.
I guess we ended up being right, folks.
We ended up being right, and I said it. The playoff inexperience of Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, the young blood, it got to them, especially against Aaron Rodgers. Especially seeing as how it seemed like the further along they went in the game, it seemed like they got a little bit rattled that they could not seem to be able to stop this guy, even as not that Dak didn't make a hell of a showing. I mean, he did tie the game up. Let's be honest with ourselves here, but they're good. Yeah, you're right. They are good. They're not good enough to win a Super Bowl yet. Maybe in a few years or so. Let's bring up the little tidbit for the Pittsburgh-New England game. Tom Brady is 9-2 all-time against the Steelers with 26 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So now that I'm thinking about it, Pittsburgh might be in a little trouble. They definitely could be. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's been in this spot before. He's won, but if they can keep him upright, he can definitely. If the offensive line holds out, they'll be able to have a chance. But it seems like. If the more time he spends upright, the better the chances are to win this game. Absolutely. And it appears our clock is going to run out in about a second. Yep. The vibration my phone has vibrated. That means time is up. So let's get one last word in. Nick, what is going to be the final score of the AFC and NFC title games? Who is going to Super Bowl 51?
I am going to put my money on Packers-Patriots. They're probably going to it'll probably be close games for both games. Probably 21-14 for one and 28-10 on the other game. Probably Pat Steelers.
Earlier in these episodes, I mean, it's already early episodes. It's only episode number 4, but earlier than that, I think it was like the very first episode, I had predicted the possibility of a Pittsburgh Steelers and Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. But after reading off that tidbit against Pittsburgh, New England, and the Chris Boswell show from last week, I've got a feeling New England is going to win and advance to Super Bowl 51, but by a score of I want to give myself some fantasy credibility too, so I'm going to go 30-20. And then for Green Bay and Atlanta, I'm going to say Green Bay, and that one I predict to be a shootout. I think it's going to be 35-32.
So lock that in with the people downstairs and make sure you grab a cocktail on the way out.
Beautiful. All right. Let's bring that clock back up again. Let's move on to another topic. It's the other big topic of the week surrounding our NFL playoffs, and that would be one Mr. Antonio Brown.
Yes, it is Facebook Gate. Everything has a gate attached to it now. Everything is always controversy. And, oh, boy, the old men clutching their pearls. Oh, it was a sight to behold this week, Tom.
Well, they say controversy creates cash, and I guess it is. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Antonio Brown streamed via Facebook Live the post-game speech Mike Tomlin was giving to the Steelers.
And basically, no one else was aware of the fact that he was filming this, and basically, Mr. Tomlin was caught on camera calling the Patriots assholes in no uncertain terms, which we're all aware of. Pretty much the entire NFL ecosystem is aware of that fact. Nobody needed to say it, but because another coach was caught on camera bad-mouthing another team,
Antonio Brown has to pay the price.
It became a big to-do.
Now, remember this: the NFL instituted some weird new social media policy earlier this season. It was you can only use social media at certain times or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think this was well after the game, though. So I think it might have technically fallen under those guidelines, but I guess Tomlin just made his speech late.
Yeah, I mean, But Bob, let me look up the new NFL social media policy. But I just want to say this. Mike Tomlin was giving the speech. He was calling the Patriots assholes and stuff. He was trying to rile up his team. If you go into any other NFL locker room, you don't think they're doing the same thing?
Oh, they're doing worse. It's really a rite of passage for a lot of NFL teams. It's part and parcel. It's part of the American competitive spirit. It's not enough to go out there and do the whole give 110% thing. It's not only are you guys awesome, but those guys are a bunch of assholes. You have to denigrate everybody else. It's the
football.
It's really it's the engine that makes the American competitive spirit go.
But football's also, I guess, becoming the new American sport. But it's all about the aggression element of it, of wanting to run over the other team.
And it's always been a part of football, no matter how much the older sports writers would like to convince you otherwise. We are just getting a wider glimpse of it because of social media, and that's what these teams are kind of...
I mean, I hear people complaining when they're instituting the new rules about safety. They're like, oh, what's with this safety crap? Back in the day, the point of football was to spear through the other guy in a tackle.
Yeah. Ask Junior Seau how that turned out.
Anyways, I do have the NFL policy right here. This is from an article on CNN. It says the policy bars teams from posting official game footage to social media from kickoff until an hour after the game. So the question, I was not sure what the timing was. Was it at least 1 hour after the game that this happened?
Well, I don't think the ESPN report didn't say that he was in violation of any kind of league rules.
I heard it was, though.
It was?
I heard it was.
Then it probably would have been a timing issue.
I think that's the thing. I think it was a timing issue. Let's see. Players are prohibited from using social media in the locker room until media outlets. Oh, apparently that's what happened. Apparently this was before any media people got to be in. Like, it was before the post game.
Oh, yeah. So the reporters hadn't yet gotten into the Steelers locker room yet.
I just found a thing from, like, Comcast now, the Comcast Sports Network website, and apparently that was the problem. I mean, I don't know, because, like, that footage now, the sports reporters could be all over that. I mean, we are all over that now.
Yeah, we're technically a part of it, but the question that everybody seems to keep asking is this going to give the Patriots all the motivation they need going into Sunday?
Well, I mean, Roger Goodell's not going to give it to him because he's not going to be there.
Oh, no. Well, of course. I was 100% sure he wouldn't show his face in Foxborough.
He'll be in Atlanta for the second straight week. But, I mean, that one's kind of appropriate because it possibly might be probably is going to be the last game in the Georgia Dome. Isn't that official now?
Yes.
It's going to be the last game in the Georgia Dome. So, I mean, for that, I'd say that's not a problem. He should be there. I mean, this Antonio Brown situation, I mean, I feel like at the same point, like, here's the question. How much leniency, how much trust should you give players to run their own social media?
Again, I think it kind of depends on the player.
But if you were instituting a team rule, a team policy.
Yeah, well, some teams have team policies regarding social media. I'm pretty sure the Giants do. But I don't know if there are any other kind of more stringent rules governing the other 31 teams.
I think there are for some, but I mean, I'm just going by a general sense, and I mean, it's like it's the phrase, "This is why we can't have nice things." This is why we can't have nice things.
It is, because is it more of an indictment on the access that social media gives you in that it's too much access, or is it more of an indictment on the culture of football basically being, trash the other guy instead of building your own guys up?
That's the thing. I like the access. Like, I love it when the Giants post, like, the post-game stuff and, like, in the locker room and McAdoo is talking them up.
Yeah, I do too. I do. I'm just trying to attack this subject from different angles.
Right. And it appears our time is up once again. So, Nick, the final word on this.
The final word is this is definitely a nothing that turned into something that could actually end up being something down the road if enough people get upset. Yeah,
I feel like this might be quite the thing that could probably stir more talk of not just social media and the NFL, but just athletes in social media, period. I feel like everyone's going to have a look now at about how much access athletes should have to Facebook, Twitter, etc.
Yeah.
Time to move on to another topic. You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, our next topic, for the second week in a row, we are discussing a team in the NFL moving.
Yes, indeed we are. If you hadn't heard, the Oakland Raiders will they will no longer be the Oakland Raiders because they have officially filed the paperwork to relocate to sunny Las Vegas. And God knows, and it's going to be a mass exodus, and God knows how Oakland's going to react.
They're going to the desert. Well, technically not official. Technically in March. In March, there is going to be a vote of all the 32 teams, and they need 24 votes. They need 24 votes to be able to move. But I think they probably will end up getting them.
Yeah, people kind of did, do you really think, because we just had the Chargers move, do you really think you'll have two teams move in the same year, the same offseason?
I mean, this is now two teams who have relocated to Los Angeles in two consecutive off seasons. I think they probably would let them. I really think there's a realistic possibility they're going to let Raiders go to the desert.
And it's entirely, mind you, this deal is entirely dependent upon whether the Vegas can actually get a stadium built. And apparently they just approved tax hikes to help pay for the stadium.
Of course.
Yeah, as far as I think it's upwards of $500 million. I think I'm not quite sure.
Well, I mean that's still 4 times less than that $2 billion stadium Los Angeles has, and those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We said that last week that Los Angeles might be a big failure. Yeah,
let's not forget the $500 million is just what the public is putting up. That stadium, if it gets built, it's going to be astronomical.
Right.
These stadiums aren't going to get any cheaper.
Well, we discussed that last week too. It's now all about the luxury boxes and all that stuff and all the commodities.
Yeah, a game is no longer just a game, and that's exactly what they're banking on with the Raiders, where they're thinking that most of the new eyeballs and asses and seats that will come to see them are going to, use it as a package deal where, hey, let's spend the weekend in Vegas, blow a lot of money, and also see a Raiders game. A Raiders game is no longer really the entire point of your trip. It's the other thing that you do.
Right, it's the gambling.
Yeah.
How do you feel about all these teams moving? Because now with the Chargers moving and Oakland moving, like one of my friends posted a status of like when the paperwork was official, it was like all caps, ha 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 ha, like lines of ha ha ha, and then at the end it said, "Go fuck yourself, Goodell."
Although I do appreciate that last sentiment. Yeah, everybody pretty much does, but I fear change in every single way, shape, or form, and it seems like this when we were kids, teams only moved like once every couple of years, and even then it wasn't really a complete teardown.
Right, and it was more about like stadiums and stuff, like bad quality.
Yeah. The two big moves that I really remember from when I was a kid were the old Browns becoming the Ravens and the Texans becoming part of the league.
In baseball, we had the Expos becoming the Nationals.
I'm talking about an NFL term.
I know. I was talking general.
Yeah, but it seems like if it happens this fast, and you're upsetting two different fan bases in the same offseason, it might not work out well.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because we talked last week about how the Chargers don't really have a fan base in Los Angeles. I don't know if the Raiders have any fan base in Las Vegas.
Well, their fan base in Oakland, they are passionate and they scare the hell out of me.
They just had one good season, one bounce back season. Everybody's ready to become a Raiders fan again, and they're leaving.
And that's pretty much how things go nowadays, isn't it? You get excited about something, and then you get the rug pulled out from under you.
Right out from under your feet.
I don't know. What do you think?
What do I think about what specifically?
Well, what do you think about? Do you think that this is something that can help the Raiders in the long term, or just hurt the league?
I don't know, because this is going to be completely new Major League Sports in Las Vegas. We've had AAA baseball in Las Vegas, and we've had them host All-Star games in the NBA, which we'll get to, by the way.
Yes, we'll get to.
But this is the first time one of the big four, actually, correct me, two of the big four are going to be in Las Vegas. You have the NFL with the Las Vegas Raiders now, as long as everything goes well. And you're going to have the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL this coming season too.
And there's going to be an adjustment period, I think.
I'm only concerned about the Vegas Golden Knights thing because Nevada is a desert, basically. And if you look at most of the sunny place teams, it doesn't really work out well. Like, you have the Arizona Coyotes, and that really hasn't been going well. The team's been sold how many times now over the last few years?
Yeah. They've got some good players on that team, though.
The Lightning have bounced back, especially 2015 when they got to the Stanley Cup final. And then the Panthers, they're all right.
Well, the Diamondbacks won the World Series in 2001. So.
Right, but at least there, baseball, summertime, heat, it all goes well hand in hand. Hockey, a cold weather sport in a desert area.
And the Cardinals went to the Super Bowl a couple of about 10 years back. So that's
okay. Fair enough. Our time is up. So Nick, one last thought, one last word on this whole situation.
I guess the only thing I could do to sum it up is pack your bags, folks. We're about to have major sports in Vegas. All the good and bad that is.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my same the concerns we talked last week about the Chargers heading out to LA. Those are the similar worries that I have about this move of the Raiders to Vegas. By the way, Nick, you're not in San Diego, but do you know anybody in San Diego that has a Charger? I need it for my phone.
Do I know? No, I don't actually.
Just go over your head.
If there's anybody in San Diego that listens to this podcast, they're gonna find out, and they are gonna beat the hell out of you.
It's all over the internet now, that joke. I'm sorry. You're gonna beat the hell out of everybody on the face of this planet Earth.
I almost fell for it, folks. I almost fell for it.
We're moving on to another topic. We're actually getting out of football. We're going to head into baseball. Some big news this week in the world of baseball. The MLB Hall of Fame class of 2017 has been announced.
Yes, indeed. There are only 3 inductees this year. We have Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, catcher, longtime MLB catcher. We have Tim Raines of the Montreal Expos.
Also a former Yankee.
And also a former Yankee. He was with the team in 1996, right?
Correct. He was a DH for the Yankees, I believe.
And we have Jeff Bagwell of the Houston Astros, and
honestly, well deserved.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said honestly, well deserved for Mr. Bagwell.
Oh, absolutely. But it seems to me like, well, I don't suppose you heard Canseco pitching a fit on Twitter.
I was actually just looking at the election results and stuff because I wanted to mention one more thing. That we actually are going to have 2 representatives that the Today's Game Committee voted in last month. We're going to have an executive, Mr. John Suckerholtz, who was a general manager for the Kansas City Royals and Atlanta Braves, and is actually the current Braves president. And the former commissioner, Bud Selig, they will also be inducted.
And Selig doesn't come without his fair share of baggage as well.
Fair share of baggage, but I think he did some good stuff for the game.
He did indeed, but a lot of sports writers I've been reading have been saying, if you put Selig in and he enabled the entire steroid era, why aren't the steroid guys in? I mean, they seem to be disregarding, the guys that the innuendo about guys, because Piazza got in, even though rumors about him juicing had pretty much hounded him his entire career, and Bagwell as well. I mean, they never Pudge Rodriguez as well.
All right, and by the way, I just found the consecutive thing. So apparently he's saying something similar to that. Induct everybody or induct no one. Like, you can't have it both ways when it comes to players who are suspected of steroids.
Well, what do you think? What do you think of this year's class?
I like it. I feel terrible for Trevor Hoffman, who missed it by 1%. I feel bad for Vlad Guerrero, who missed it by 4%. But Hoffman and Guerrero still have more years to come. So, like, next year, I think they're going to be the top two.
They will get in.
Next year, they're going to be the top two. Like how Bagwell and Reigns were this year, they're going to make it in. I don't know, man. I feel like attitude, like off-the-field attitude, has partial to do with getting into the Hall of Fame.
You think it counts for more than it should?
I think some sports writers count it a little more than they should. But, I mean, in some cases, that's well in the right. Like Curt Schilling, if I were to get a Hall of Fame thing, I will never induct Curt Schilling for the actions that he has had over the past few years. Now that he's out of baseball and was a commentator, I will never induct Curt Schilling.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we can't. Kurt's pretty much. He's gone from baseball pitcher to failed entrepreneur to
lunatic.
At least, yeah. If he's not driving the bus, he's at least a passenger on the bus to Crazy Town.
Right. He has fallen off the deep end so well with his. He's fallen off the deep end with his bigoted comments. What got to me, like his sexist comments, and then didn't he do something with the Little League World Series? He made some sort of comment about that too.
Yes, he did. In fact,
that you can't take it out on an event for kids. I'm sorry. That
no matter your politics, whether Democrat, Republican, or anything else in between, I mean, there's a basic human decency law that
they're kids.
Yeah, come on. But
I mean,
there will still be people voting for him, though. Let's not get that wrong.
Right. But I mean, it's tough. I think we're becoming a culture that's becoming more forgiving, and I think it's because of like us younger writers. Because this is how we got into the game of baseball. Like before 2004, we didn't know what steroids were. Like at least for me, I didn't know what steroids were. I was like. By the time I found out, I was like 8, 9 years old. At that point, I was like the players who were indicted in that stuff were players I loved watching growing up, like the home run battles between Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds.
And it was everywhere when we were kids. I mean,
absolutely,
it really was. I think a realization for a lot of us where it's for the first time you realize, wait a minute, these people cheat,
right? But I mean, but at the same point, we're getting into, I think I said this a couple of podcast episodes ago, we're getting into a new form of MLB where it's like actually really talented players who so far have not had any trouble like that. And it's like, it's such a relief, not the word relief, but it's like baseball is becoming big again.
It seems like we're if we're not at that point yet, we may soon be in the future.
So I think it's a matter of, I know the millennials argument, like, oh, you stupid millennials, but I think it's a similar argument in like, I think we're becoming more forgiving of these players. So I think it just depends on the writers that vote in these next few years.
And let's not forget the writers that have votes. A lot of them are a lot older than us.
And keep in mind, starting next year, all ballots are going to be made public.
And that's definitely something that is going to be, just in the interest of transparency, just in the interest of keeping everything on the up and up. I think it's absolutely necessary to make that move.
Under normal circumstances, I would say no. After what Dan Le Batard did a few years back, it's absolutely necessary now.
I did applaud that move, though, because I think at least you may disagree with me, Tom, but I think there at least should be some component of the Hall of Fame voting that should be left to the fans.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying,
Yeah, because what Deadspin did.
Right.
For those of you who don't know.
The timer ran out, but I think this one needs some clarification.
Yes, we do. For those of you who don't know, Dan Le Batard, a couple of years back, he sold his vote, as in he gave his Hall of Fame vote, to the sports website, Deadspin.com. And what Deadspin.com did was they conducted a poll of their readership to say, okay, we have this Hall of Fame vote. Who do you want us to vote for? And I think it was kind of shady, but
right.
I think it was a good.
But I got the point of it, too. I just feel like as a writer, that's an honor to be one of the few selected to vote for the Hall of Fame. So my final word is going to be, especially because we're now in that more forgiving era, as I was just saying before, I think, if you want to vote these guys in, vote them in. Like, who am I to say? It's your vote. But I also I think it should be, like, I know some of the fan voting is kind of rigged and stuff, or favoritized. So I say the writers vote for whoever you want, but make them 75% of the vote. Make 25% of it the fans.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. It seems like this really should be more democratized, especially considering the fans are the lifeblood of this sport. And
absolutely.
We need to be able to make sure everybody's voice is heard, especially when it comes to canonizing the games past. Then we move forward.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you there. You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, we're going to be moving on now to a sport which, honestly, I don't really care too much about, but I will talk about it anyways.
Neither do I, but still,
I don't care. But you know what? I play fantasy basketball just for shits and giggles, and I'm 10-2 somehow.
Oh, sure.
I don't get how. I don't get how.
I don't even care about it, and still he pulls a rabbit out of his ass.
I think I'm going to restart the clock on this one. I'm sorry. Let's reset the clock, please, because I'm too busy laughing. The NBA All-Star Game rosters. Some people are not considering this a funny situation. The big controversy is Russell Westbrook.
For those of you who missed it, Russell Westbrook is not part of the All-Star team starters, and that is, I missed the official. Did they give an official explanation as to why he's not on the team?
Well, right now I have the rosters in front of me, the starting lineups for the East and the West. On the East, you're going to have Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Giannis. You know how to pronounce his name better than I do.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think.
Antetokounmpo,
yeah.
Thank you. And Jimmy Butler. On the West, you have Stephen Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, I believe it's pronounced.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis.
See, he told you he wasn't a basketball fan, folks.
I said, well, I mean, I like the game of college basketball better, but I think that just might be because I like the atmosphere better and I like how it's two halves.
Yeah. Then again, college basketball doesn't get exciting until February.
But for me, I guess it's just the game elements of it too, and maybe it's because I've tried to root for the Knicks for so long, and it's just not working out.
Yeah, that's the other thing. None of the starters on the East team are Knicks, and
honestly, it's well deserved because the Knicks are falling apart.
We know why. But I still reserve the right to be somewhat disappointed.
But at this point, that team is falling so far apart. I think it's honestly like the how far this team has fallen apart is just, it's at a point now where it's like we gotta call it a day. And I think these Knicks are just going to be bad for the next however long it's going to be. If Jackson can't save this team, who can?
Yeah, it's. Oh God, I don't even. You know what? It'd be great if we had an owner that cared. It'd be great if we had an owner that concentrated a little bit more on setting a good path for the teams he owns, rather than.
That's the next part. That's the next part of it for the Knicks and Rangers. Screw James Dolan.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that I've actually bared witness to his musical talents in person.
Oh God!
Because context. 7 years ago, I went to an Eagles concert with my father and my brother. I know, not my choice. I'm not really an Eagles fan, but we went, and the opening act was a band I'd never heard before called JD and the Straight Shot. So it
was James Dolan.
So no. So we're all whispering to ourselves, "Who's JD and the Straight Shot?" So we see this man come out from the curtains with his backing band. He's got a tweed jacket on, a fedora hat, and he lifts up his face and he looks out to the crowd, and he says to the crowd, "Hi, I'm JD," and my father actually shouts out derisively, "That's James Dolan! You're James Dolan! Don't lie to us!"
Oh, jeez.
It is. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's the worst. It's the worst kind of blues ripoff I've ever heard, and I'm a fan of that music, and that hurt. It really hurt.
Anyways, getting back to the topic. Honestly, if I can be 100% honest, I'm not a big All-Star Game fan for the NBA. I think it's more about All-Star games in general, but I mean, at least with the NBA, like, I prefer the slam dunk contest. I'll watch that.
Yeah. We should have some fun with it. I mean, the skills competition in the NHL is a lot of fun.
Right. I mean, the 3-point contest and the 3-point contest is all right. The slam dunk, oh my God, some of the best dunks have come out of that.
It's like, why not? Why not?
Right.
Why not have fun with it?
Like, what's it called? But I mean, sometimes, in some cases, like, it's the same people getting into the All-Star game. LeBron, this is his 13th. Kevin Durant, this is his 8th. Harden, his 5th.
Well, that's expected. I mean, no one's going to get on ESPN and argue that he doesn't deserve a spot on the team.
Which is fair enough, but I'm saying when the same thing happens over and over again, and it's like the All-Star game, come on, when was that known for defense?
That's a good point.
Like, at that point, it's just like, I'm sorry, then why should I bother watching? Like, I'll watch it if there's nothing on.
You watch because you want to see freakishly tall people, freakishly athletic people score on each other.
And dunk on each other.
That's pretty much what you're watching for, not for defensive acumen. Nobody's putting on a damn clinic.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, then it's just why is this even happening? At least the skills competition gives it a reason. The NBA's version of a skills competition with the 3-point contest and the slam dunk.
My word, you are certainly hard to please.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm just not a big NBA person.
You are a very, very tough critic when it comes to All-Star games.
I mean...
Would you be the kind of person who goes to a home run derby going, "Where's the outfield test? I want to see the outfielders actually catch the goddamn ball, for Christ's sake."
No, but I mean, it's like, like, at least the NHL and stuff, it's always different people. And it's like you've had, the different formats of, like, the people, like, what was it? Like now you have the 4 divisions, and it's like it's a different concept and stuff.
Yeah.
It's different. It's original. Like, I think next week on one of our topics is going to be the Pro Bowl, and why the hell does it exist? I was going to do that as our topic for next week.
Yes, we will definitely get to that.
Why does the Pro Bowl still exist? So there's a little cheap plug for next week's episode.
Yes, we will. Plug.
But I mean, like, the MLB, the NHL, the NBA, they all have their own special things. I think my thing is just I would rather watch the slam dunk contest than the All-Star game.
Plus, it's built for YouTube, so
right.
It's built for pretty much, instant consumption.
Final word. We can go a little longer on this because we went off on a tangent, but I mean, Russell Westbrook not getting in. I know there was a lot of drama with KD. So maybe that's for the best, but I feel like at the same point, the best players should be in. So if he deserved it, I mean, he's averaging a triple-double, 30.6 points, 10.6 rebounds, 10.4 assists a game. Like, those are all-star worthy numbers to me.
No, he absolutely should have been in.
He should have.
Yeah.
So this is the fans voting?
Well, that's interesting.
So I just looked at the thing, and I found out this is the fans voting. Well, screw you, NBA fans.
Yeah, apparently they don't know what the hell they're talking about. What the hell they're voting for.
And now, Nick, it is time for one last topic here. It's going to be our pop culture topic of this week, but it does involve the football, and it does involve the Super Bowl, especially the halftime show, Lady Gaga.
Yes, and they definitely wanted showmanship for this halftime show, and God knows she's got that.
Yeah, definitely.
I excuse my cynicism, but the class that we took last semester, we had a lot of
Special guests.
The professor our professor has a lot of people who knows a lot of people who worked on halftime shows, and there was one guy in particular who just seemed so burnt out by going to the Super Bowl.
Are you referring to Mr. Lewis?
No, not the other guy.
Dan?
Yeah, Dan Power.
Dan Power. Yeah, but
great guy, by the way. He just seemed like Super Bowl. Yeah, been there.
But yeah, we had a class, and our professor brought in a lot of people, and some of them have worked the Super Bowls. One actually, of course, referring to Mr. Lewis, who was
Arthur Lewis.
Arthur Lewis, and I said Mr. I wanted to be formal, but he actually produced halftime shows. He has worked with Katy Perry. He has worked with just about any of the acts in the last few years.
And the amount of the way he described it, the amount of preparation and the amount of minute planning that goes into every single step of this halftime show is it boggles the mind. It really does.
It's unbelievable. And
unsurprising considering the money they spend.
Right. Well, we just had, I believe our friend Nick showed us this footage from E! And it's all the preparation that is going into Lady Gaga's halftime show. I got a quick glimpse at the video, which was in the tweet from Pepsi, I believe. And Lady Gaga has talked about how this is actually pretty much a dream come true for her. She has wanted to do the Super Bowl halftime show since she was 4 years old, which I think is incredible. And now she's getting to, she's living it.
Living the dream. That's pretty much all of us can do.
Right. And
I prefer to just watch the Super Bowl from the safety of my own couch.
Same. I prefer to watch football from the warmth of my own couch.
Yeah, I'm just sitting in my chair, not doing anything, just pretty much being a fat slug.
I mean, that was the best part about NFL Sundays, and now there's only two of them left. 3 if you somehow count the Pro Bowl. We'll get to that next week.
It's okay. We can still do nothing on Sunday. I always do nothing on Sunday.
That's true. I mean, baseball season's coming up, so soon we'll get to watch afternoon baseball on Sunday.
And that'll be something we will definitely get into as spring training ramps up, folks.
I can't wait. I mean, football is so easy to talk to because now we're in the best points of the football year. But I can't wait for when baseball comes around because we're going to have a lot of discussion about that. But anyways, this Lady Gaga halftime show. I mean, they showed the choreographer and one of the dancers in it, and it's like they showed the footage of all the choreographer teaching all the dances to the Lady Gaga songs. I think it was in the video they were doing the Bad Romance dance.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't wait. Normally I've always feared the halftime show. I thought last year's halftime show, in all honesty, I didn't like it.
I can't even remember what it was.
It was Coldplay. It was, I think, Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I didn't like it was because I felt Coldplay was overshadowed. They were announced first. Coldplay was going to be the band. And then they got Bruno Mars and Beyonce, and, well, Coldplay just got pretty much shat on.
Well, depends on if you're a Coldplay fan or not.
I mean, I am a Coldplay fan. Most of their stuff from 2003 and what do they call the 2000s now? The noughts?
What?
They call it the 2000s, 2000, 2009. I think they call it the noughts now. And I'm like,
noughts sound
the
like
noughts.
The noughts sound like a race of small people from a Roald Dahl book. They do. They sound like a species of green trolls.
Anyways, my point. But that's the thing. I still think
everybody's got a name for everything, and they all suck.
But that's the thing. Bruno Mars had done the halftime show, I thought, the year before, 2 years before or something. And I think Beyonce did it too. So it's give Coldplay a chance. It was like they were doing Uptown Funk at the end, and you saw Beyonce and Bruno Mars in the front, and you saw the lead singer of Coldplay. Like, he's trying to get camera room, the poor guy.
Come on, shove off. Wait, now that you mentioned it, I do remember it. It actually was pretty funny. But
it was pretty sad at the same point.
Lady Gaga's going to be doing it herself, I think, this year.
Good. But that's the thing. I think, like, give it a shot.
Why not?
Why not?
That's what it used to be.
I mean, Katy Perry did it herself, and we got the birth of, what's it called? Left Shark.
Oh, yeah, Left Shark. Nobody, actually, Arthur Lewis did work on that show, but nobody, during the Q&A session with our class, nobody thought to ask him about the shark. And I wonder why nobody did.
I mean, I think because the meme ran its course, as it always does.
Yeah.
Memes are popular for 4 weeks, and then that's it. And
then once older people start using them, then it just loses all its steam.
Yeah, pretty much. I forget what I was watching. Oh, I think it was like NBC. They were doing the Sunday Night Football like last week, and they were trying to do memes. I'm like, that is not a meme.
It's like that's not a meme. You're just using the meme typeface and writing shit on graphics.
Right. They don't know how to meme. A meme is funny. A meme is funny. It doesn't essentially state fact.
No, it doesn't.
You people need, not you fans, like these people running the productions of all these shows and stuff need a lesson, a course on how to internet.
Well, then again, if we showed them how to internet, then I don't even know how to internet sometimes. It's hard to tell what the internet is from a day to day.
It's always changing. That's going to do it for another edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media. Our Facebook, it's facebook.com/The Unspoken Podcast. On our Twitter, it's @Unspoken Podcast. Nick, it was a great show. Great 4th episode.
Pleasure.
We'll see you next week for episode 5. Before I let you all go, little plug, the Undetermined website, it's officially coming very, very soon. Nick has informed us it's getting closer and closer to official publication. Yeah, launch date. Very good. It's getting so close. I can't wait. I'm going to be writing about sports.
I'm going to be writing about pop culture and nerd ephemera, which is $1 million word for I talk about nerdy things and hope people listen.
All right. So that's going to do it for another edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Episode 5 coming next week. Of course, our top story is going to be the 2 Super Bowl teams and the Pro Bowl. Why the hell does it exist?
That's going to be the official title of the segment.
Why the hell does it exist? You've been listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. I'm Tom Albano, and for Nick Federa, we'll see you next week.
Good night, folks. See you next week.